My friends, do you have too much money? Is that your problem? Well, I don't share that problem. But if you have too much money, then I've got good news for you. My name is Howard Real. The show is called Real Truth. If you got too much money, if you are beleaguered by having too much in the bank, if you carry around too much cash, if you're sick and tired of having all that money, Democrats to the rescue. Item from yahoo.com. Senator Elizabeth Warren's wealth tax came under the spotlight during the Democratic presidential debate on Wednesday night. The Massachusetts senator was asked about her ultra-millionaire tax, which would impose an annual tax of 2% on every dollar a household has above $50 million, which increases to 6% for households with more than $1 billion. I'm tired of freeloading billionaires, Warren said at the podium. I think it's time we ask the very top to pay more. Unquote. I'm tired of morons running for office. My friends, the idea that you could earn $1 billion, let alone many billions of dollars, by being a freeloader is the height of absurdity. Billionaires got that way, unless they inherited the money, obviously, but billionaires got that way by building companies, building businesses, investing, taking chances, and yes, hiring lots and lots of Americans. Billionaires are part of the engine that make this country run. And to demonize them and to call them freeloaders is just about as stupid as something I would expect Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren to say. Also, related item from MSNBC.com. Much of the Democratic primary races focused on taxes aimed at the billionaire class, policies devised to reduce inequality and fund progressive goals on healthcare and education. But there's also a less discussed tax increase in leading Democratic policy proposals that would affect not just the tiny sliver of the ultra-wealthy, but also millions of high-income workers. For these people, many of them affluent professionals in Democratic strongholds, it would be the biggest tax increase in recent memory. Unquote. Folks, we went over it again yesterday. If you were listening to the show, you heard it. Elizabeth Warren has asked again and again and again and again and again how much her proposal would raise the taxes of middle-class Americans, and she won't answer. She refuses, because she knows if she did answer, if she were actually to tell you how much middle-class taxes would rise, she would be finished. She could drop out of the race and go sit and sip a margarita poolside if she wanted to. She'd be done. Well, just because she's not telling us what it'll cost, we should still know that it will cost out the wazoo. And if you're like me, you're very protective of your wazoo. Elizabeth Warren's plans, the Green New Deal, the ridiculous and untenable things that all the Democrats are throwing their support behind, giving free health care to illegals, free college tuition, free this, free that, will bankrupt the United States of America, and more importantly, it will bankrupt you. Doesn't matter which Democrat you like, they are all poison for you and your family and this nation. Unless, of course, you've got too much money, in which case they're just what the doctor ordered. Item from the Associated Press, Dateline, Salt Lake City. A Utah woman charged with a crime after her stepchildren saw her topless in her own home is fighting the case that could force her to register as a sex offender, citing a court ruling that overturned the topless ban in Colorado. Attorneys for Tilly Buchanan argued that the law is unfair because it treats men and women differently for baring their chests. They are asking a judge to overturn her misdemeanor lewdness charges and declare that part of the law unconstitutional. When the children ages 9 through 13 walked in, she, quote, explained she considers herself a feminist and wanted to make a point that everybody should be fine with walking around their home or elsewhere with skin showing, her lawyer said in a court document. Unquote. Now, in all fairness to Tilly Buchanan, she's not only a feminist, she's also a dope. She's a fool. By this logic, women could walk around topless in the streets. They could go to the opera topless. They could go to a doctor's office topless, right? Because after all, men are allowed to do all those things, right? Listen, Tilly, get up close to the radio. Since time immemorial, as long as there have been human civilizations, almost all of those civilizations have regarded women's bodies as being different than men's. No surprise, women's bodies are different. Topless men have been accepted. Topless women, in almost all cases, have not. And that's the way civilizations run. That's the way the human psyche works. And that's certainly how America works. If you feel like walking around topless in your own home and there are children around, then maybe you should be listed as a sex offender. It's not the way our culture operates. It's not the way people in the West think. Item from the Wall Street Journal. Nearly 1 in 4, or 24.6% of Europeans, holds strongly anti-Semitic views, according to a poll by a Jewish anti-hate organization released today. Among European Muslims in Western Europe, the incidence of such views was almost 3 times higher than in the general population, as defined by the Anti-Defamation League's study. Folks, I've reported for years on the fact that Europe is dying. It's being eaten by an infestation of Muslims who have no intention and no desire to become French, British, German, what have you. They want to stay Muslims, ardent Muslims, because by going to these countries, they are planting a flag and other Muslims will come along, and before you know it, son of a gun, they got political power. Their goal, and they say it themselves, they say it, is to conquer Europe, put the entire continent under the flag of Islam, and then they want to capture America. They want to conquer the whole world. The Quran tells them, conquer the entire world in the name of Allah. So the fact that Europeans are anti-Semitic just means I get to enjoy watching their countries rotted out and watching control of their countries taken away from them. Now, what happens afterwards when Muslims are in charge? Well, that's a very serious matter. We'll have to talk about that separately. But anti-Semitism in Europe has always been the case. And so as Europe burns, I say, bring me some marshmallows. It's Thursday, and it's Real Truth. We'll be right back.